This panel is designed, most of all, to talk about what we have already going on in Northeast Indiana, why the defense footprint is here to begin with. So I've invited a few of my friends who lead significant businesses here in the Fort Wayne area to come and talk about what they do, why they do it here, and how it's going. So we'll just go down the line and start with you and introduce yourself and talk about the significance of your business.
Hey, good morning, everyone. I'm Rob Mitrevski. I run the business for L3 Harris here in Fort Wayne. It's a business that's been here since the 1930s, actually started by Philo T. Farnsworth, the inventor of the television. And the television gave way to the video camera, which gave way to an idea of launching weather monitoring from space, starting in 1960. And 60 years later, we're here and thriving. As a matter of fact, we're thriving not only in our heritage business of weather monitoring from space, both from low Earth orbit with the world's most advanced instruments, as well as geostationary orbit. Through many generations of those, we've been able to advance weather monitoring, weather forecasting, advance into wildfire monitoring, which gave way then to an idea of how we might otherwise be able to monitor things going on the Earth that have smoke, fire, plumes, and movement. We decided missiles had smoke, fires, plumes, and movement, as well as wildfires. And we started working with the DoD with some modest investment from them and from ourselves, and now are supporting the Space Force through the Space Development Agency, the Missile Defense Agency, as well as the LA Air Force Base folks with over $1 billion worth of business in the last 3 years in hypersonic glide vehicle defense, on top of our weather monitoring as well. So the last 12 months has seen $3 billion worth of wins come into our Fort Wayne business. We're expanding our footprint physically. We're expanding our personnel, leadership capacity, and really looking towards the future with significant growth, where the business has tripled in size over the last 3 years. So really excited to be in Northeast Indiana, really excited about the talent that we have in the room and across our community. Very excited to represent the Midwest in such relevant missions for our nation.
Hey, good morning. I'm Derek Fahrer. I'm the Product Area Director for our military communications business here in Fort Wayne for BAE Systems, and I represent part of the business that we have here. We have over 1,000 employees here in the region between my business focused on the defense side and my colleague Scott, who's here today, focused on our controls business. So if you flew here today, you likely flew on an aircraft that had either a BAE Systems engine control or some sort of flight controls on it, and we're really proud of that heritage on both sides of the business. The legacy of the communications business here goes all the way back to Magnavox. We were Magnavox, and in that time, the team actually invented the standard, I'll say, voice. Encrypted voice communication standard known as HAVQuick that was invented here in Fort Wayne, still used today, believe it or not, and has been enhanced over time. We have a proud heritage of that here. But this business has transitioned from Magnavox to Hughes to Raytheon, and then 3 years ago acquired by BAE Systems. And subsequent to that acquisition, our business has seen tremendous growth in the last 3 years. We came over to BAE Systems with just about 100 employees. We've now are north of about 160. We've relocated our manufacturing operations from Florida up back here to Fort Wayne, which has driven a lot of that growth. But from a kind of forward-looking standpoint, you guys will hear later from Secretary Kendall, and I'm guessing he will talk about the Air Force operational imperatives and what you'll hear about joint all-domain command and control and the need to improve connectivity and warfighting networks to face off against near-peer threats, and that's a focus of the business that I'm in. Both in bringing advanced communication systems to currently fielded platforms. So we're in the process of entering full-rate production on a new communication system for Army aviation platforms that's ramping up. We're in development on a new HF communication system for the Air Force, and we're wrapping up some investments here, kind of on the order of $8 to $10 million, both in factory capacity as well as development environments to help work toward those next generation communication solutions. And I think Northeast Indiana has been really good to us. There's a strong talent base here, and as evidenced by our company continues to bring investment and help drive the growth here.
Hey, good morning. I'm Todd Hack. I'm our Senior Director of our Tactical Comms and Weapons Systems Group, also the site lead here for our GD Mission Systems in Fort Wayne. We've been here roughly 21, almost 22 years coming up this fall, and we've predominantly focused on battle management applications. So think, how do our Strykers and Abrams and all of our other platforms move amongst the battlefield? We design a lot of that software that goes inside that, of which then, the U.S.'s only manufacturing for all tanks is just located in Lima, not too far from here. And then we've also then, more recently in the last couple of years, branched out to smart munitions and really tactical comms, enabling artillery shells to be more accurate, to guide in a total GPS-denied environment and hit targets more accurately, which enables obviously greater lethality on the battlefield. And then communicate with not being seen. So in a total jammed environment, how do you get that RF signature out over the battlefield, crossing, allowing our our vehicles and our warfighters to communicate? So, same thing with these other guys have said, this area provides a lot of that key technology, key algorithms, and a lot of smart folks that can figure out how to operate in those, total jammed environments when we go up against a near-peer adversary. So, again, excited to kind of be in Fort Wayne in this location and a lot of good growth opportunities as well.
Hi, I'm Jeff Polhamus, site executive at Raytheon. And it's interesting to hear the panel talk because a lot of us have the same lineage with different parts of the company. Derek and I used to work together, that sort of thing, and that. But I've been at Raytheon here in Fort Wayne 37 years. Very proud of that. Very proud to say that I'm part of the defense industry in Fort Wayne, Indiana for that long, and proud to be part of Raytheon. Actually, I was just kind of looking at some notes last night, preparing to talk today, and Raytheon and some of its predecessors back to Magnavox. We've been here in Fort Wayne over 100 years. That's crazy, supporting the defense industry. Back as far as World War I. In World War II, we were building noise-canceling headsets for cockpits, so that they could get rid of the noise. So, Bose has nothing on us, right? We were kind of out there doing that. So right now, I've spent my entire career in electronic warfare. Here in Fort Wayne, we do a kind of a combination of a lot of things: electronic warfare, communications, command and control, a lot of classified business, that sort of thing. So some of the things that we do that we can talk about, for example, next generation jammer. That is it's the DoD's probably premier EW system that for the Navy that flies on an F-18 and E-18 Growler. And we do all of the waveform generation, all the signal recognition, all that sort of thing, all of the really elaborate algorithm work here in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So when we talk about technology and what's happening here, it's really some of the smartest people in the world are here. We have a lot of classified work supporting what I will call the next generation Air Force platforms. A lot of that is being done here. So if you go back and what each of these gentlemen said through all that innovation, technology, creativity into today and what we're doing here to support the United States Department of Defense, military, and other agencies that are trying to do good work. I think we're just all ecstatic to have the chance to be here and speak to each of you today.
So that, Jeff, that's where I want to start. We have the ecosystem here. All of you are growing. You're creating more good-paying jobs in Northeast Indiana. We have the highest defense budgets we've ever had in U.S. history, for good reason. We have a lot of things that are going well for us in Northeast Indiana. We have talent, we have great universities, great cost of living, quality of life. When you attract people to come and work for your businesses, they like living here, they like coming to Fort Wayne, and oftentimes they stay. But why don't you expand on the ecosystem? What has made it possible for you to continue to grow? And then then after that, what's the missing piece? What else do we need to do in Northeast Indiana to attract even more?
So I think, I've always kind of, in my mind, thought of this as this business is a team sport, right? It's about the people that work for us. It's how we sometimes team and work with the other companies here in the region. It's about all of you in industry and what you provide to us, and it's about our customers and how we team with them. And many of them, especially if you look at like Wright-Patterson, which is very close to here, Crane Naval Base, which is very close to here, it's a team sport. So as we said, what attracts people? Well, it's being able to live in the Midwest. It's the cost of living. It's the wonderful universities like Purdue, Notre Dame, Rose-Hulman, University of Toledo, which is where I came from, and all that, where we can really attract not only engineering talent, but clearable people who can get clearances, right? They could come here, or maybe to come back after they've taken a chance to go somewhere else. But it's the ability to provide to those people a wonderful place to live. But really, what has to happen to attract any young person here is to enjoy what they're doing, to be excited about what they're doing, to really want to come to work. The motivator for people, everybody likes money, but the motivator is what I'm doing really cool. And so we just have to continue to bring that work to Fort Wayne to attract all that young talent here, and then that will just feed upon itself and grow.
And you've been here of our panel, you've been in Fort Wayne in this industry the longest. As I understand it, after 2010, we've lost a number of jobs in the defense industry in Northeast Indiana after the Budget Control Act, sequestration, but now we're starting to rebuild and grow. And is that accurate?
That is accurate, and of course, for each of us, I think our businesses tend to move as the budgets move and as the government priorities move and that sort of thing. And so we all had some tough times, but yeah, now there's definitely an increased emphasis on spending and not just money, but there's an increased emphasis on getting things to market. We have to be able to do things smarter, faster. We have to be able to get things to market faster because there's a lot of challenges in the world today that need to be solved, and that's really what we're all about, is trying to find solutions for all those challenges that come to us.
Yeah, Todd, our office works with your business almost every single day, and you guys are growing. You're doing great things in Fort Wayne. There seems to be a vision here to do a lot more. Can you talk about what makes that possible?
Well, I mean, a lot of it too, as Jeff was kind of talking about, we want to be agile, we want to be lean, but a big part of that also we have to be cost competitive. And so the talent pool in this area enables us to be that. We don't have to pay Silicon Valley rates. We don't have to pay, the DC type rates. So, our folks here that work for our companies in the local area, they live well, they can, don't have to deal with a lot of traffic. And because of that, right, we can just maintain that talent. Like, I'm case in example, I grew up in Angola, Indiana. I went local to Trine University, and then very quickly hired on to General Dynamics in Fort Wayne. Growing up in Angola, like, I want to go to a big city. I want to go have that feel, but Fort Wayne and this whole area has everything that you have. And then with the backing of our companies like General Dynamics, or I'm sure Raytheon and L3, you have a career progression where you don't have to get pigeonholed. There's still exciting and new opportunities and new technology. And as Jeff was saying, the biggest thing that keeps our people, and we have one of the lowest turnover rates in all of GD Mission Systems here in Fort Wayne, is the work. Right, we're doing cutting edge, exciting technology that's immediately happening, or impacting our warfighters. So that just kind of drives people to keep working, growing, and really kind of build a career in this area.
Yeah, let me add. I'm probably maybe the example story for how this works is I'm not a native Hoosier. I grew up in Michigan, though, just a couple hours away. When I started my career in this industry, I was on the West Coast for 2 years in the Los Angeles area. It's a pretty large concentration of aerospace and defense. And then I was on the East Coast in the Boston area for about 12 years. And then I came back here. Like the call of the Midwest brought me back, right? It's all the things these guys talked about. It's, I'll say, the ease of lifestyle and I'll say the family-oriented kind of nature of this area kind of made it a really easy decision. And, coupled with that is, even though, BAE Systems here, and as far as a defense footprint, I mentioned we have about 160 people so dedicated to defense industry. That's not a huge base. However, it is recognized within our company the caliber of talent that exists in this area to the point that when I mentioned in my opening about how our company's investing in our facility for improved development environments and things to work next generation communications, we didn't sell that investment on, hey, the team here is organically chasing a new program or program record. It's hey, the company at large has a need for this type of talent, and it exists in Northeast Indiana, and we're going to make the investment to make that talent accessible to the rest of the company. That's good for a couple of reasons. It's cost competitiveness, right? There's that element, but also it gives members of our team connectivity to the broader business and potential career growth paths in other areas and other technologies and other missions that we work in without having to leave, right? That's usually a challenge is people get the kind of sticker shock of having to go somewhere else, but we're trying to enable kind of the borderless, work environments, especially even in kind of higher classification, higher technology things, and I see that trend continuing.
Rob, it seems like every time I turn around, you guys are inviting me to a ribbon cutting. Like, how is that possible?
Well, look, I think I'll add just a few stats. 6 of the top 15 engineering schools in the nation are within 225 miles of us, right? 20,000 Midwesterners, in-state students at those schools graduate every year and go out into the workforce. And at some point, they perhaps miss the Midwest or want to have families here or realize that what they were searching has been here all along, right? So in talking to the Greater Fort Wayne Chamber of Commerce, we know that 2 of the top 5 locations where we're importing talent from are Southern California and Denver. Those are the 2 locations where our biggest competitors in the industry are. So we have something that great talent seeks, and part of that, I think, is really about the work, as everyone has said, right? We have relevant work for the nation. Frankly, the missions we serve at my business are the toughest missions we do company-wide, right? They're real-time, they're high throughput, they're low latency missions. They're about protecting the nation and its citizens, whether that's on the civil side, on the weather, from severe weather activity, or whether that's protecting from missiles. It's really part parcel of the same type of mission. That really gets people excited. The Midwestern work ethic, I think, and the collaborative spirit gets our customers excited because they can not only work with us and collaborate with us, but our work is good. It's disruptive. It's predictable. It's very much what they seek. They seek a relationship, right? So you have to have a differentiator in your technology. You have to have a differentiator in your people and your approach to the business. We don't tend to be entitled. Even as incumbents, we've been in the weather business for 60 years. We're still innovating, we're still disrupting, we're still making sure that we have step functions of capability, and the people in this community make that happen. I think the last thing that's really important is not only the work, but the community itself, right? I can say our company has spent $100 million in Fort Wayne, and they have. But our community has spent $1 billion downtown in the last couple of years, right? So people genuinely want to come here and live here. And the key to retaining people and minimizing attrition is to have that combination of happiness at work and happiness outside of work. And I think that's exactly the balance that we've struck here.
I want to talk about the supply chain. Derek, there are people in the room who came here today because they want to do business with you, family-owned businesses in Northeast Indiana, and I know all of you rely on that supply chain as the prime businesses. You have to subcontract to a lot of local businesses or throughout Indiana. Can you talk about that? I mean, if I owned a machine shop in Columbia City, my hometown, I wanted to do business with you, how do I begin that relationship? How does that work?
Well, come see us after the fact. We'll talk. I mean, that's some of the mystery sometimes in doing business with us is part of large organizations is how do you get in? I think primarily this is one way is networking and getting our attention on kind of understanding what capabilities you have and how that meets our needs and where we're trying to go. I mean, and generally what we try to do is, there's a range of things, right? It could be, hey, we're looking for competition in maybe more commodity spaces. You mentioned machining. That always seems to be an area where struggling for quality and capacity and things, and we're always looking, but also looking for partnership in kind of unique or innovative technologies that maybe are gaps in our portfolio or bring an angle that might be compelling to customers. We've done that. We have a history of doing that. Not locally, but one of the products that we're bringing to market, this HF radio I talked about was actually born out of partnering with a small business in Texas. They're a commercial leader in HF technology. They were like a 15-person company, but they had discriminating capability, but they had no experience in this market space and this customer set and this requirement set, and that was best of both worlds right there, where we brought that experience, they brought the technology, we created a partnership, and won a competitive prototype, and that's going to be wildly successful for both companies. So I think talking to us, let us know kind of what your capabilities are, and from my standpoint of my business, like I'm happy to make those connections with our supplier development teams and kind of get some initial discussions going on, how could you help us and us help you?
Todd, a huge company. I mean, what does that supply chain look like in northern Indiana?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty vast, as you were saying. Most all of the components and airframes come from Indiana. And a lot of what we do, too, and a lot of the way at least in the Army, is doing a lot of acquisitions are other transactional authorities, which motivate companies like ours, where we have to put up 30% of non-traditional. So your non-traditional defense contractor, it's not your, the big 4 or 5, companies. It's partnerships with local. And as, Derek was saying, a lot of it's just, getting your name out, letting us know, and then having us kind of introduce you into our bigger supply chain, where if you have that niche capability or we're looking for quick turning on machining of parts or board layouts or that type of aspects, if you have those custom, components there, that's the easiest way to kind of come in. So it might be a little bit daunting, but it's not, right? It's just communication, events like this, it's meeting people and say, oh, I saw this part, and then we can bubble it up through the larger, at least inside of GD, the larger General Dynamics. So you might end up doing business, maybe not with us here in Fort Wayne, but maybe with our Scottsdale, Arizona facility or our Taunton, Massachusetts facility or wherever. So we're all kind of interconnected that way.
Jeff, you have dozens of mayors and commissioners and local economic development officials, Chamber of Commerce officials who are here today. And they want to fly wherever they need to go in the country or the world to find the next big company for their county, maybe a company that could do business with yours. So can you give them some advice on how we can partner together to grow the ecosystem, including the supply chain?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as I think has been kind of mentioned a number of times, what grows this business is innovation. So when you're looking for what kind of businesses would I want in my community, you got to find those people who are really innovative, who really get it and understand it and are willing to take a chance and build a business and bring it in. And I think if you look at all these, we all started from very, small companies in some way or another. And the thing that's really imperative, and I don't know, I think sometimes from your perspective, you look at these big companies as, well, they're doing all this stuff, but we, as I go back to this as a team sport, right? don't do everything that it takes for us to deliver products. We can't do it all alone. We can't have specialties in every single thing. And we're not necessarily always as affordable as small business. We really do rely on that. And if you look at, so every time any of us wants to build a system that's more capable than before, we're putting more electronics in a smaller space. And so we need better cooling. We need lighter weight structures. We need stronger. So it's not just that, like, you're not just looking for those people who are like, oh, I need somebody who can go build a fighter jet. Who really Fort Wayne Metals is a great example. They like get it. They're absolute innovators. And I don't know if any of you are from there today. This is not a paid advertisement for Fort Wayne Metals, but they do some incredible things from here in Fort Wayne of developing new metals and stuff. I mentioned Next Gen Jammer, and a lot of us will look at that as the incredible electronics that go into that. A lot of the innovation in there is cooling and weight, right? So one, you've got to produce all this power from this aircraft. Well, aircraft doesn't have that much electricity on it, so we had to build turbines that actually produce the own electricity to produce the electronics while it's flying, so as the air blows through there. The biggest challenge we had was weight. Every pound in a system like that is one less pound of gas that aircraft has to fly on. So as you're going out and trying to find, so if you take kind of the back end, we said there's so much talent in this area of engineering talent and technical talent and that to feed these businesses, but find the innovators, find the people who can't afford to start a new business on the East or West Coast, but they can certainly afford to start a new business here, and attract them to your community and why it's great to be there.
Same question, Rob. If I'm the Whitley County Economic Development Director, I think he's here, and I want to go lure a new company to Columbia City, Indiana, maybe that could do some work. Maybe they're attracted to come there to work with L3 Harris. What am I selling them?
Yeah, look, for us, our material element of cost is 4x what it was 3 years ago this year. So very, very significant. We will build as many payloads in the next 3 years as we've built in the last 60, and we were high volume for the last 60. We outsource about half of the work we do. And what we're looking for is innovation, I think, right? Now, we have a sort of a floor of space-capable parts, but it doesn't mean that it's the highest quality that's required now. As we continue to disrupt particularly the missile defense market, we're driving commercialized technology into space for speed and cost and an ability to drive more mission capability as our peer and near peer threats evolve. We need to stay ahead of them. So we're looking for a combination of people that can provide volume at cost with disruptive capability. Machine parts are big for us, right? So that's sort of the easy portion of it. Microelectronics have been really problematic through COVID and beyond. So circuit cards, things like that. But there are things like cooling technology for space that are interesting in coding, positional accuracy capabilities that are really interesting in space. Remember, the things we do have to have tremendous positional accuracy, tremendous absolute accuracy in terms of temperature and aspects like that. So those are the types of capabilities we would be looking for. Even co-locating with us, right, is an option where we don't have to leave the building. We're purposefully building a building larger than we're taking delivery of, so we can potentially co-locate some of our supply chain with us. So those are things that we're thinking about for the future in terms of volume, speed, et cetera.
I want to open it up to any of you who have a question. I don't know who has the microphone. Team Banks, can you get? Landon has the microphone. If you have a question, raise your hand. And while he's doing that, while he finds a good member of the audience who has a question, Jeff, can you talk about the importance of location, where we are situated here in Northeast Indiana, Middle America, the crossroads of America, the airport, the highways, the infrastructure that we have. Can you talk about how important that is?
Yeah, it's really important for us. I mean, we're, by definition, the middle country, and we talked about a lot of the advantages of why being in the Midwest is great, but it's all location-wise, being able to get to our customers on the East Coast and the West Coast, being able to get to our suppliers, the ease of transportation. I mean, certainly, I think COVID taught us all how to collaborate better, when it comes in terms of Zoom calls and all that kind of thing. But it's really the ability. I mean, we have to be able to get out, as I mentioned, as a team sport, we have to be able to get out and reach our suppliers quickly and get there quickly. We have to be able to get to our customers quickly. We have to have the ability for them to get to us. If you're making a trip from the East Coast to the West Coast or whatever, that can be kind of a daunting. It takes a whole day to deal with, rather than jumping on a plane and being out and back in a couple of days. So it is important where we're at here, and it is important that. I think it's important to the whole ecosystem that the defense business continues to thrive in the Midwest because of a lot of those reasons, because of the talent, the people that want to be here and want to produce and want to contribute to really what's going on and what's needed.
All right, Landon?
Yes. When you talk about local supply chain, what's the percentage of local suppliers generally for each of your operations? And then do you have an internal quota that you would like to establish to build out or grow that local supply chain?
I will be completely honest. I don't have a percentage of, off the top of my head, of kind of local content in our products. Nor do we typically have quotas for local products, because our supply chains are global, or I'll at least say across the United States, right? Global's a tough word, right? Because there's areas from the world that we cannot do business with and should not do business with, but we're a piece of a more global enterprise, so we tend to kind of source and execute at that level. But I will say we are incentivized and mandated through DoD for small business content on certain acquisitions. So kind of through that realm is probably opportunity through our small business development activities, where we specifically seek out and look for those type of businesses to perform on our programs. That's generally where those mandates come from and where we try to get to.
For us, it's less than 15% of our total is local. It certainly has to do with the ability of local or regional businesses to be space qualified. I think the key for us is we're on a bit of an island in terms of space. It's just now starting to build up here in the Midwest with some of what you heard from Purdue with hypersonics. I know Notre Dame, Crane, Michigan, et cetera, have space programs. But it's a little bit barren in terms of space capability here. So if I were to have a wish, it'd be that we could bring some further supply chain that would be capable of space qualified work here, so I don't have to go to the coasts to get parts or other states.
I think it's important, though, that you don't. So each of these companies that are represented today are very large businesses located across the United States, across the world. We have facilities, and I don't know, I think Raytheon has facilities in like 40 different states or something like that. So when you think about supporting Raytheon or BAE, et cetera, you shouldn't think about supporting Fort Wayne, just Fort Wayne. We can connect you with the rest of the corporation and where your technologies fit. I often make contacts, whether it's at conferences or visits or whatever it is, and exchange business cards and do those things and get those things to people. I mean, what you build may be very important to our work in El Segundo, California, or McKinney, Texas, or whatever, right? So it's where can you fit into the ecosystem and some of these large companies, and not just Fort Wayne. And I know each of us looks at it the same way within our, a lot of our engineers are working on programs to support programs in those other states as well, right? So we're really it's kind of not like it was 25 years ago where we were kind of very siloed in that. We work across the company.
Yeah, and real quick, and we've been seeing a lot of growth just in Indiana because of exactly what Jeff was saying, where, hey, if our Gulfstream jets need components, they'll come to Indiana to get those. If our GD Land Systems needs updated Stryker or Abrams stuff, they're coming here. So, from a big corporation like General Dynamics, we are seeing increase because this area is cost competitive and it is innovative. And at the end of the day, those two things will win you work. From our large. And as they're all saying is, we're kind of your conduits into the larger, corporations that each and every one of us exists. So you might not work on one of my products or programs, but you may be supporting, my sister company in, Sterling Heights, Michigan, or down in Savannah, Georgia, or wherever, actually.
Next question.
Yes, good morning, guys. Thanks for the time. You guys all bring up small companies, partnership, affordability, space capable. We do a lot of heat treating for orthopedics, but we do deal with some of the aerospace, very indirectly with you guys, contract manufacturing, deal with CUI, ITAR information, control unclassified information. We're getting hit with cybersecurity, NIST 800, 171, CMMC, I'm sure you guys all know about that from a lot of you guys. 50 people, company, $200,000 in just cybersecurity, computers, servers, all these things. Can you just talk about that a little bit? How that's working with you guys and small companies? Thank you.
Yeah, we're all laughing because we recognize all those acronyms and have to deal with that exact same pain. So, I think where we as larger, corporations can help is help guide, the small businesses through that process. And a lot of times, those are flow down clauses that we can't deviate from ourselves. So I think, but what we do have is, experience to help, we have kind of a mentor, mentee kind of protege where we work with some of the smaller companies to help them. Hey, we like your technology, but there's no way right now that we can put you on a DoD contract. Instead, we might, invest in you, right, with our own internal research and development, and through that process, get you up to speed on those, all of those certifications and IT type activities. So that's where I think we can help throughout.
I think it was as Rob mentioned, how a lot of their strategy is to bring suppliers in-house. If you find partnerships, programs to work on, especially in just software, we tend to bring a lot of the software engineering talent that we bring in from other small businesses into our ecosystem. So now you're able to take advantage of the investments that we've made and the larger investments by Raytheon and all the security systems, facilities, et cetera. So, there might be opportunities to get into co-location, or even if you're remote, like working within our computer systems and things like that, and that helps alleviate a lot of the pain. But it's very expensive to do a lot of these things, but it's very necessary. The cyber battle is a real thing, right? And so we just need to all be very cognizant of that, and we do what we have to do.
Anything else? I want to thank our panel today. As the only member from Indiana who serves on the House Armed Services Committee, I'm very proud of what we do in Northeast Indiana, and to work every day to invest and support the programs that all of you work on on the Armed Services Committee, in the NDAA, and to see the result of that, your continued growth and investment here in Northeast Indiana makes me very proud. So thank you for what you do for our country, and thank you for being a part of our event this morning. I think we're going to take, help me out, David Keller, a 5-minute break to reset, and we'll be right back.